So, as we welcome in Saba, Ruvain Pollack, Irving Fishbaum, Shelley Zeitlin, Yitzi Muller, Michal, Mel Zachter, Mo Kushner, Shimon Klein, Stephen Holtzman, Mordechai Sultan, Nachman Chapler, Aaron Swade, Rabbi Kranz, Ilya Shutman, Moshe Lehman, Richard Rosenzweig, Abe Arbach, Yehuda from Har Nof, Abba Steinhauser, David Helfgott. Here in the shul, we have the schia to have Berish Gesem and Gedalia Engel, Rev Goldstein, Rev Avram Schenkman, and Baruch Ian is back in town. We'll see if he's able to join us. He might be very tired. Let's see who's not muted here. Okay, we found out. Okay, all right. Okay, we are holding by Amalei Rav Adabar Masna L'Rava. In other words, we learned yesterday that if the Eved said, when he came back, that the master told him, Kol nisaye knuyen lach. My estate should be acquired by you. And he said, b'fanei nichta, b'fanei nechtam, because he has to say that like by a get isha. So he said that Rava said that he acquires himself, but he doesn't acquire the rest of the property. He acquires himself because the takana of b'fanei nechtam is made for get shicher like it's made for get isha, but he doesn't acquire any of the estate because for that you would need two witnesses. So the Gemara now wants to suggest, as we say, as we're up to Amalei Rav Adabar Ava, as we welcome Baruch Ian back into Fairways Lakewood. Tonight we'll give him a pass for not joining us here in shul. He's tired, he just traveled 17 hours, but don't think that you're going to get a pass normally. You know, we're going to start picketing your house. The picketing his house, we'll call the HOA, we'll do all kinds of things. They have it in for him anyway, so Baruch, it was very good to see you by Minchai. I made Mincha Ma'ariv longer, so I should enjoy seeing you for a longer amount of time. I used Svira as an excuse. Look what I have in my hand, everybody. Look at this. Look at this. My grandson, I spoke for my grandson at the yeshiva, and he brought me a bottle of Pepsi, so I have to have a little bit. I made a shackle already. I should make a special bracha. It's as good as I remember it. We welcome in Ilya Shutman. So, Amalei Rav Adabar Masna L'Rava, Kaman, who is this going like? It would seem to be going like Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon holds that we could take a person's statement, the Amar Palginon Dibura. We could take a statement, split it in half, and accept part of it and not the other part of it. Because here, the master said, Kol nichsaye knuyen lach, all of my estate. We're slicing it, and we're saying he gets himself, but he doesn't get the rest of the estate. I have a memory that Rav Moshe gave a shir on Palginon Dibura that was 72 pages long. He used to give us the pages, so a shir usually was about 12 pages. The shir that he gave on Palginon Dibura was 72 pages. Yeah, Rabbi Kranz says that must be much more difficult than your shir, Rabbi Weiss. You said it. You said it. Did not. HaKosev kol nechosav la'avdoi. If he writes all of his estate to his Eved, Yotze ben Chayr, the Eved goes free. Shayir karka kolshu, if he said, I'm giving everything except for one piece of land. So there, the Tanakama, who we'll see as Reb Meir, says Lo Yatsa Ben Chayrin. He doesn't go free. Why? Because we say he should have said to the slave, you and all of my nechasim. He didn't say that. So if he says all of my nechasim, we say the slave is included. But if he says all of my nechasim except for one piece of land, except for a certain piece of land, we say just like he left over the piece of land, he left over also the slave. Reb Shimon says, Lo olam hu ben chayrim. He always goes free. Ad sheyomer kol nichsaye nesunim leploini avdi. All of my estate is given to Tony, my eved. Chutz me'echad sheribu sheben. Echad meribu sheben. Except for 1/10,000th. So there we say, since he said 1/10,000th, maybe he meant to reserve the eved. And he's saying that the eved is only 1/10,000th. And then the eved gets nothing, because if he kept the eved, then kol masha kana eved kana rabbi. So Gemara wants to say it's going according to Reb Shimon that says we could slice his statement, that when he says all of my property except for a certain field, so the eved goes out when he says all of my property. Even though Reb Yaisi praised Reb Shimon, who said, Palgina Dibura, halacha Reb Meir. The Tanya Kishanemru Devam Lefnei Reb Yaisi, Karolav Amikra Azeh. He says about Reb Shimon, Svasayim Yishak, lips should kiss, Meishiv Devarim Neichachim, the one who answers proper words. Still, Rav Nachman says the halacha is like Reb Shimon. Says the Gemara, Omiyam Rav Nachman Achi. Did Rav Nachman say the halacha is like Reb Shimon? Rav Yosef ben Minumi Amar Rav Nachman Shchiv Meira. Now the din is a dying man who gives away all of his property, and then he gets better. It comes back to him. Because we say he only gave it away because he thought he was going to die. So if he gave away all of his property and he gets better, it comes back to him. If he wrote all of his property to his eved, v'amad, and he gets better, although he gets everything back, but v'einoi chayzer be'eved. Why? He gets back all the property because matna shchimerau. It's something, a gift of a dying person, and a gift of a dying person we assume that he only gives is he's going to die. But ve'ena chayzer be'eved, but he doesn't get back the eved. Shariyatza love shem ben chayrin, because once it goes out a name that he's a free man, so it's not reversible. Once it gets the name of a free man, and he could marry a Bas Yisrael, it's not reversible. So you see that we do say Palgina Dibura. We split his words. We say that everything is his, but the slave, it goes free. Allah Amar Rav Ashi. Rashi says, Hosam Hainu Taima, there where he says that the law is like Rav Meir, that the law is like Rav Meir, that when he says that he's giving away all of his estate except for a certain karka, and we say that the eved doesn't go free, hainu taima mishum delav krus gito, because there's a special din by get that it has to be a safer krisis. It has to be a clear severance, a decisive severance. That's why in the get it says many l'shoitnis igeres shivuchen and get teruchen. It says a lot of l'shoitnis. It's supposed to be a decisive severance. And when he says he's giving away his estate except for a certain field, and since he didn't say the servant and his estate, and he reserves a field for himself, we say that since he reserved the field for himself, he also reserved the Eved for himself. It's not enough of a lotion of severance, so therefore we paskin that he doesn't go free. Now the Mishnah says, Im yeshalav oirerin yiskayim b'chaysamav, that in the event that he doesn't say, if the get is given in Eretz Yisrael, so if the get is given in Eretz Yisrael, you don't have to say b'fanei nichta, b'fanei nechtam. And then if there are people that claim that the get is no good, then it should be confirmed by its signatories, either the two witnesses that sign come, or two witnesses that recognize each of the signatures. So the Gemara says, who are the orurin? Who are the claimants against the get? Irer kama. Ilema irer chad. It's a claim of one person. If you want to ruin a document, you have to have at least two people. There are two people that come and say that it's not a good get. So then why, if you bring the two that signed the get, treyu treininu, it's 2 against 2. My chaz is to samches ha'ani, smay ha'ani. Why do you rely on the two witnesses? Why do you rely on the two people that come and say that the get is no good? Ella irer de baal. It's actually a claim of one, but it's a claim of the husband. So you'll say, we say that there's only an error of 2. The husband is different, because we have a chazaka that a husband wouldn't be such a mechutzev to say that the get is not true, is a forgery. So therefore, if he claims he never wrote it, we have to take it seriously, and we have to bring 2 witnesses to confirm the get. Now, new Mishnah. It's amazing. We just started, and we already finished the first Mishnah, and we're on to the second Mishnah of a Masechta. You know, the first Mishnah gives us a lot of the groundwork. So we're really moving along. And tonight we had a lot of simchas. Tonight we had the simcha finishing Svira. In the Mishnah Yomis we finished Shkalim and started Yuma. That'll be on for later. I feel bad not starting the new Masechta in the Mishnah Yomis, but we have a Chumash here tonight, so stay tuned for that. I know that everybody has plenty of time, since tomorrow is only Erev Yom Tov. Everybody should remember to make an Erev Tavshilin. See, that's why I could drink a little Pepsi. I have a lot of simchas. Finishing Shkalim, finishing the Eimer, sing Baruch Ian. I mean, a lot of things, you know. If I'd have one more simcha, Marshall, I'd even eat a franc. Where is Marshall? He disappeared. Wonder what happened to him. Got stuck on a piece of Frankfurter. Okay. Hamevi get mibdina siyam. If somebody brings a get from overseas, and he can't say b'fani nechtam, he said, look, I didn't see it. So, im yesh alav edim, if there are witnesses on the get, you know, according to Rabbi Lazar, it doesn't have to be witnesses, but if there are witnesses on the get, yiskayim b'chaysamav, you could confirm the signatures. Echad gitei nashim ve'echad shichruri avadim, both a get for women and a writ of emancipation of a slave. Shaiv shavo l'maylech u'l'mevi, they are equal, that if they're brought l'maylech, if somebody takes the get from Eretz Yisrael to Medina Siyam, or brings it from Medina Siyam to Eretz Yisrael, you have to say b'fanei nechtav or b'fanei nechtam. V'zu achas min hadrachim, and this is one of the ways sheshavu gitei nashim l'shichrurei avadim, that the get of women are similar to the writ of emancipation of slaves. Now, the Gemara says, what does it mean he's not able to say? If it means that he's a deaf mute, well, no, a deaf mute can't be a shliach. Forget about that, he can't say it, he can't be an agent. Cheresh barasuya gitu, can a deaf mute bring the get? V'tanan akol ksherin lavi as a get, chutz mecheresh shayt v'kadon, a deaf mute, an imbecile, and a minor. So it's not because he can't say b'fani nechtam, it's because he's not a good shliach. Rather, Amar Rav Yosef, he brought it overseas and he gave it to her while he was a pekach. But and he didn't get a chance to say until he became a deaf mute. So if you could get people to confirm the signatures, then the get's a good get. So now, yeah.
That's how we're understanding it now, not that he didn't observe.
That's how we're understanding it. Yeah. Now, Tan Rabbanan, Bishloisha Drachim, in 3 ways, Shavu Gittin Nashim L'Shichrurei Avadim, in 3 ways a get given to a wife, La'aleinu, is the same as a writ emancipation given to a servant. Shavu L'Moilech Ulamevi, it's the same when you bring from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz, or from Medina Sayam to Eretz Yisrael, that by both you have to say b'fani nichta, b'fani nechta. The kol get sheyesh alav eid kusi, any other business document, a business document, an IOU, deed of sale, sheyesh alav eid kusi, that has a kusi signature. Now the kusim are, Sancherev had a very, very devious way of conquering a city. When he conquered a city, he immediately relocated all the people of the town, because he never wanted them to have home team advantage and regroup and revolt. So he, in the Shomron, he evacuated the 10 tribes, and instead he brought people from Kusa to live in the Shomron. They were attacked by lions, and they converted. And the attack stopped when they converted. Some people say they were Gerei Emes. But even though they were Gerei Emes, they were lax in certain mitzvahs, and they weren't trusted. So generally, if a business document had the Eid Kusi on it, it would be disqualified. Chutz megitei nashim shichrurei avad, except for a get to a woman, or a writ of emancipation to a slave. That's kosher if there's a Kusi Eid. Furthermore, the kol hashtaros ha'olim be'erkoy shel oivdei kechavim, all documents that are authenticated and processed in a goyish court, even if they're signed by goyim, because in Jewish law, dina de malchusa dina ksherin, so a deed of sale, a IOU note that's processed in a legal court with goyish signatures is binding, chutz megitei nashim shichrurei avad, except for a get of a woman or a writ of emancipation has to be done by Torah Jews. Ukediver Rameir ba'arba. Rameir adds a 4th thing, that gitei nashim and shichrurei avadim are the same. Ha'omer tein get zel ishti v'shtar shichr zel avdi. If he says, give this get to my wife, or this writ of emancipation to my servant, and he wants to renege before it reaches them, Ratza Lazar b'Shneim Yalzar Divrei Meir. That both of them he could, even though he wrote it in front of Adam and gave it to a shliach, he could renege until it's actually given to the woman or given to the servant. So Bishleim Rabbanan, it says 3 to exclude Rameir. Minyan l'mutei had Rameir. El Rameir, when he says 4 things, Minyan l'mutei mai, when it says a number, it's coming to exclude something else. What's it coming to exclude? The Me'utei Hadisanya, it's coming to exclude that which we learned in the Brisa. And this is a very interesting halacha. Let's say it's an emergency. The husband is going on a trip, and he might never come back. In those days, they disappeared at sea. So they wanted to write a get in case he gets lost, that she shouldn't remain in Aguna for the rest of her life. Or the husband is dangerously ill, and they wanted to get so that she shouldn't fall liyibam. She doesn't like the brother-in-law. Right? So, and the only aid you have is somebody that doesn't know how to sign his name. Which, by the way, is not so rare. Not so rare. You have people, they don't know how to sign their name. Especially in the olden days, where not everybody went to school. Not everybody knew how to read and write. So, the Tanya Edom she'ein yoidim lachtaim, witnesses that don't know how to sign, mikarin lohem nir chalak, you could etch out for them, like color by number. But this is color by etch. You could etch it out for them, scratch the cloth with their name, and and you could fulfill the cracks with ink. You can only do this by a get of a woman. But rid of emancipation, and other documents, if they know how to read it and to sign it, you can't do etch by number. Ain't chaisman. So Reb Shimon Gamliel says that it's only by get, but not by shichrurei avodim, not by rid of emancipation. So when we say that there's 4 things that get nashim and get shichr is the same, it's coming to exclude this. The etch by number, there it's not the same. Because you can do it by a get, but you can't do it by a get shichr.
Why do we say in a case like this where there's already 3 that that's going to know? The point was to be make a tosefes, not to verses 3 versus limiyuti.
The reason is because it says the 3 things. Why does it say the number? We know how to count. It tells us 3 things. What does it have to say? There are 3 things.
Right.
So when it says the number, it's coming to tell him not something else.
Even when he says 4, the 4 you can't say.
And then the 4, why is he saying 4? He just said the 4th thing. We know how to count.
Okay.
So why does it have to say the number 4? It's coming to tell us 4 and not 5. It's an extra number. That's the way it always works. Otherwise, it would just said he's adding this. Why does it have to say he's adding 4?
Rabbi, did you say if the woman's husband disappears, the get supersedes Yibum?
If the get is given before, there's no Yibum because they're not married. There could only be Yibum if when he died, he's married. If he divorces her before he dies, then there's no Yibum. Now the Gemara wonders, Reb Shimon Gamliel adds a variable that the Tanna Kama did not talk about. Reb Shimon Gamliel adds a variable if they know how to read. So the Gemara says, Kriya Mandaka Shmei. Who said anything about knowing how to read? So the Gemara says, you're right, Chisurei Mechsera, there's something missing over here. V'achi ketani, and this is what it should say. Eidim she'ein yoidim likros. If they don't know how to read, no problem. We'll read it to them. Karim lefneim v'chaismin. V'she'ein yoidim lachtaim. And if they don't know how to sign, mekarin lem, we etch it out. And on that, Reb Shimon Gamliel says, the only time we use these illiterate people that don't know how to read and write is only for Gittin Daf, which is an emergency. So now the Gemara says, okay, we say goodbye to the Pepsi. You know, I just had a little. I don't want Shelley snitching on me. Back to good old H2O, which, by the way, it can't be bad because it says, hey, mayim elatayra. So water is great. Yeah, Gedai, I just want to show you. I could have a little and put it away, you know.
In complete control.
My wife would say if I'm in complete control, I wouldn't have taken it from my grandson, but okay. About Taiva, as we welcome in Nathan Langer, who's joining us. So anyway, now the Gemara says, V'suleka, is there nothing else that Gittin Daf and Shichrurei Avadim are the same? V'ikra imer tnu get zela ishti ushtar shichrur zela avdi. If he says, give this get to my wife, or this writ of emancipation to my slave, or mace, lo yitnu lachamisa. You don't give it after death, because it ain't get lachamisa, and there can't be a get shichr, it goes to the Yorshim. However, tnu manul aplaini, if he says, give $100 to so-and-so, or mace, there yitnu lachamisa. Says the Gemara, well, Kikatani Milsa, the less of Bishtaris. They only teach things that are unique to get Shikr and Gittin Daf. Milsa the Isei Bishtaris, something that's true also by documents like Katani. Because this is an interesting halach. The Shalach Ravin Mishmei de Rebbe Avo have a Ravin sent in the name of Rebbe Avo. Have a yoidim, you should know, Sheshalach Rabbi Lazar L'Gaila, Rabbi Lazar sent to the diaspora, right? He sent a message to the diaspora, Mishum Rabbeinu. Now, you know, the Gemara does this a lot of times, and it says Mishum Rabbeinu, and it doesn't say who the name of Rabbeinu is. Generally, it's usually either Rebbe or Rav. Here, it's Rav, right? So because we know who the person is, right? So Rebbe Lezer sent to the diaspora in the name of Rav, Shchiv Meira, a dying man, Shamar Kisvu Utnu Mana Laplaini, write, record in a document, and give $100 to so-and-so, or mace, and he dies. Now, normally, a Shchiv Meira doesn't need to say record it. Because Divrei Shchiv Meira kiksuven ukmesurin dami. We're afraid that a dying man might panic if he thinks things are not being done in due process, and it might usher in his death. So we say that the words of a Shchiv Meira are binding when he says it. So it doesn't need to be written. But here he adds, Kisvu utnu, write it, record it, and give this $100, and then he dies. So it's an interesting thing. Shchiv Meira she'amar Kisvu utnu mana l'plaini mace, ain't kaisim of an eisnin, then we don't give it. Because we say, since he said to record it, maybe he wanted it to be acquired only through the shtar. And if he wants it to be acquired through the vehicle of a shtar, there's no shtar achamisa. Ain't kaisim and eisnim, because shemalei gamalak noisa yela b'shtar. He didn't want it to be transferred with his verbal declaration, rather only with a shtar. Ain't shtar achamisa. So memela, this din that it can't be done after he dies is not unique to get Shechra and get Isha. It's true by a Shtar Shchib Meira also, says the Gemara. But there's another case where Gittin Nashim and get Shechra are the same. V'ika Lishma, both the get Isha and the get of Nashim are Lishma. So Bishleim L'Rabba, since it already says Meilech Umevi, and the reason of Meilech Umevi is Al Lishma, so Lishma is covered. I know Meilech Umevi. El Rava Kasha, but according to Rava, that's because of Lefisha Ein Edom Mitzuyim L'Kaimai, so it doesn't say Lishma, so it should say Lishma, which is unique both to get Nashim and Shechrurei Avadim. And Vesu, Bein L'Rabba, Bein L'Rabba, Ha'ika Mechuber. There's the din that you can't write on something attached to the ground. Other stories, you want to write, I want to write a bearish, a promissory note, it could be attached to the ground. He doesn't care. But you get Nashim, which we said, it says, V'kosav v'nasan, there can't be anything intervening between the writing and the delivering. Here, if you would have to cut it off, that would intervene. And we learn out get Shechra from get Nashim, it can't be written on Mechuber. Says the Gemara, you're right. There is Lishma, there is Mechuber. But those are Psulim Daraisa. And what we are talking about over here are only Psulei D'Rabbanan. Ki Ketani Psula D'Rabbanan, Daraisa like Ketani. Says the Gemara, what do you mean? For Erkoyish Shalayv De Kechavim, Goyish signatures, the Psula D'Oraisa. That's a Psula D'Oraisa, V'Ketani. Says the Gemara, no, it's not a Psula D'Oraisa, because it's talking about with his Eidei Mesira. And it's going according to Rebbe Lazar that the Ikka get is the witnesses of delivery. And the only reason why we passel Goyish Eidim that sign is only we're afraid if we allow them to sign, we might allow them to witness it. So it's only a Psul D'Rabbanan. Says the Gemara, it's Be'edei Mesira Rebbe Lazar. I'm a Eidei Mesira Karse. V'amid Ketani Sefer Reb Shimon Aimer Af Elu Kisherin. Even if they have Goyish signatures, it's kosher. V'amar Reb Zera Yored Reb Shimon L'Shitasi Shel Reb Eliezer Da'amar Eidei Mesira Karse. It's going according to Reb Eliezer. So according to Reb Eliezer, if there's Goyish signatures, the get is good, as long as there is Jewish witnesses that saw the delivery. So then the Tanakama that says that it's no good must be talking about Rameir. Michlal the Tanakama Savaloi. The Tanakama holds not, which according to Rameir it's a Psul D'Oraisa. Says the Gemara, Ike Beinayu Shemois Muvhakim. No. The answer is it's both going according to Rebbe Lazar. It's only a Psul D'Rabbanan. Because we're afraid that if we allow the witnesses signed in the shtar to be goyim, then we might come to allow witnesses of goyim to also do the delivery. While the sefer that says that it's kosher even if the witnesses that signed the shtar are goyim, that's talking about where the names of the goyim signed on the shtar are clearly goyish names. Ike and Salvador. It's pretty safe that we don't have Ikes and Salvadors. You know, can't say Peters and Pauls. We have a lot of Yidden with the name Peter and Paul. I don't know many Yidden by the name of Ike. I don't know many Salvadors. You know?
It's an Ike.
Yeah, you have an Ike?
Ike the Mike, the candy company.
Me too. I knew an Ike growing up. Yeah, you.
Okay. Well, he's not here now, so don't tell him. The Lamaisa is that, so there's a machlokes. One man Yama says if the names are clearly Goyish, you're not going to come to use them as witnesses, and the Tanna Kama says, still, we're afraid if you accept them to be signatories, you might come to use them as well. We're going to stop over here to continue only 2 blot, Rabbi Isai, on Motzi Yom Tov, because we stressed ourselves to learn 2 blot, so we only have 2 blot. Motzi Yom Tov shir is at 10:15. Motzi Yom Tov shir is at 10:15. We did the Mishnah Yomis already. We counted Svira already. So we're going to go straight into the Chumash shir.